Hi, this is James, and I'm here with the Oracle Outlook for the week starting October the 17th, 2016. This week I'm going to be doing a Lenormand card reading, and the deck that's going to be assisting me for this week's reading is my go-to, the Piatnik Lenormand. And so now, without any further ado, let's get right to the table and take a look at the cards that are going to be making up this week's reading. And here we are with the cards on the table, and I'm taking the deck in hand, and I'm going to shuffle the cards. And as I do for all of my weekly general readings, I'm asking the basic question: what do we need to know about the upcoming week? What information do we need to have so that we can make this the best possible week? I'm going to shuffle one more time. Now I'm going to cut the deck. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be doing a line of 5, which is a line that reads left to right in a row of 5 cards. And I'm taking the top 5 cards from the deck, keeping them face down. And this is our line. I'm just going to adjust the cards for a moment. And when I read a line of 5, I always start with the middle card and work my way out. The middle card for me always represents the focus for the week, or what the central issue is going to be. So turning the card over, we have the fox. So now the fox is a card for me that can represent job or employment. So for some of us watching this video, that may be the thing that takes center stage. It could be our job or employment. So somebody could be seeking work. This card can also be, if we're talking about employment, this card can be self-employment. So it could be somebody's considering self-employment, or somebody's focusing on a self-employment venture. With that, then the fox is also about your craft or your skill. So whether you are employed by someone else or you're self-employed, this could be like the week where you kind of focus on whatever your skill set is, whatever it is that you are known for doing, whatever it is that people seem to think that you are gifted in or talented in, that kind of energy. It could also be that somebody is seeking work. The other meaning for me for the fox is about survival, because I tend to see like foxes do what they need to do to survive. So it could be like, in order to survive, could be seeking a job. Now this card can represent being an employee. So it could be like, if you're self-employed, you may be considering the option of looking for work as an employee to kind of supplement whatever your self-employment venture is. So I'm seeing that as a possibility. Other cards will make that more clear. But the other thing with the fox card is also a card about strategy. So it could be like, this is the week, no matter what it is that you're engaging in, whether it is your own personal sense of survival or survival on the job front, whatever that is, this card is about having a strategy or having a plan. The fox is a card about being clever, being cunning, and that could be cunning in the positive sense and maybe the not so positive sense. The other thing about the fox card, if we go with the cunning in the not so positive sense, then this carries the challenge of maybe dealing with being taken advantage of, being manipulated, being conned, because this card is like the idea of like the con man or a scam or being cheated, that kind of thing. So depends. The fox can have its positive and its not so positive meanings. So, but my first go-to, like I said, is job and employment. So it could be like, that could be taking center stage for some of us this week. If not, then it could be about seeking independence, and somebody may be breaking out of a situation and then thinking with that, how am I going to survive, or coming up with a plan so they could survive on their own, going with that whole slant of independence, because that just came to me. So I'm seeing that with the fox. So now we'll turn to the cards immediately flanking the fox to give us a little more detail. So on the left side of fox, we have the snake. And on the right, we have the man. Okay, so I will touch on the man first. The man being on the right side of fox can mean a couple of things. If you're a woman and you're watching this video, then the man could mean a man who's important to you. So I'm seeing that. If you're a man watching this video, then the man would represent you. So for me, since I'm male, the man is going to represent me this week. So now what I said about being self-employed, then the fox and the man as a pair would make sense, because it would say the man is self-employed. Usually when the man comes up, nothing else, there are no other meanings, I should say, that are attached to the man other than it's a man. So usually the cards that are around the man usually describe the man. So going with fox, it could be a couple of things. Like I said, first thing being like the man is self-employed. That could be one thing. The man is cunning. He's clever. Could actually be that the man has red hair. Could also be that the man is maybe a con man. He could be, a con man, scammer, that kind of energy too. He could be trying to take advantage, trying to be manipulative, all sorts of things like that. Now, the reason why I ended on that note with the challenging aspects of fox is because the card to the left of fox is the snake. So now, my first go-to with the snake card is complication. So it could be like maybe for some of us this week, if we focus on our job or employment, it could be that there may be job complications, going with the idea of the snake is complication, and then this would be job or employment. So there may be complications on the job front. If it's more of a personal nature, this could be either at the workplace or maybe outside the workplace. The inset on the snake is the Queen of Clubs. And so this card then becomes known as a woman. So it could be somebody who has a rival at work or a rival on the job that's causing some sort of complication. It could be, if we go with the idea that the fox is about manipulation and being taken advantage of, then the snake could suggest like part of that is getting caught up or entangled in a lie. So it could be, I'm seeing this card, the snake, as lying, and then this fox as cheating. So it could either be with the man on the other side of it. It could be like the man is a liar and a cheat, if we describe the man with those two cards, or that there's a man who needs to be careful because there is a woman maybe who's possibly trying to entangle him in something at work. Sometimes this snake card here in that regard could be like a rival. So there could be a rival for a man at his place of employment or on the job who's making things difficult for him, problematic. So I'm seeing that as possibilities. Now we'll look to the cards outside in the edges to give us more detail. So here, on the left we have the clouds, and on the right we have the book. Okay, so now this is very interesting. So here on the very left we have clouds. Clouds is the most challenging card in the deck. The clouds can represent confusion, it can represent bewilderment, it can represent uncertainty, and the closer it is to a significator card like the man card, the more trouble that it is. But there's two cards in between it. But this card can represent at the beginning of the week, or at the beginning of the week we may be experiencing again some sort of uncertainty, confusion, doubt, maybe pertaining to work, or maybe there's some uncertainty about how we're going to survive a complication, going with the snake in the middle of the cards. But clouds can represent trouble. It can usually represent confusion, bewilderment, being uncertain about something. So I'm seeing that. And then the book on the other end could represent knowledge, learning something, could be, and the book is open. So in some depictions, the book is closed. So that could represent like knowledge that's not available or open to the public. But when I see the book open, it could be knowledge that becomes accessible, or knowledge that becomes open, or knowledge that becomes revealed because the book is open. Anybody could come up to the book here on the card and read whatever is on the pages of the book. So it could also be too, like there may be some knowledge about this man that is learned. So I'm seeing that as a possibility here. Usually for me, I'm seeing it like the dichotomy here is like there's some sort of uncertainty at the beginning of the week that becomes either learned or open or accessible by the end of the week. So something that we're not sure about, we get the information possibly by the end of the week. And that makes us more knowledgeable. It could be like we're going through a challenging time, because I will say this: the clowns, the snake, and the fox can all be challenging cards. And then at the end of the week, we learn something from having gone through the challenge at the beginning of the week, the beginning and the middle of the week, as we come to the end of the week. So I'm seeing that. So I'm taking a step back and looking at the pair of clouds and book. Yeah, it could be some uncertainty or some confusion about maybe somebody embarking on a project, or some confusion or uncertainty about a project, and maybe going with the idea here with Fox being in the middle, again, about it being a job or employment. It could be some work-related project that maybe there's some uncertainty about. So I'm seeing that as a possibility. Could be maybe even uncertainty about education. And maybe with the idea here, if like we go with the idea of job and employment, it could be somebody embarking on maybe needing some more education for their work, what they do for a living. And they need to maybe take like a course or a certification or something, but there's some uncertainty about that. And even with that, not only is there going to be uncertainty, but it could also be could be more of a complication, and they realize they didn't see the complication. Because the snake is complication, or it could be more complex than they thought, or it could be become more involved, because the snake can represent a long and winding process, something that becomes very entangled. So I'm seeing that. As I step back, I notice that we have three cards from the suit of clubs. We have the King of Clubs, we have the Queen of Clubs, and we have the Nine of Clubs. So the suit of clubs for me is all about work. It can be about work and difficulties or challenges, because again, three of the cards that are here are challenging cards. So in cardomancy, the suit of clubs can represent difficulty. So there could be some difficulties, and it could be pertaining to a man, because we have the king here. The king can represent a man and a woman in particular. And it could be something that they're each facing, because they're facing one another here on the cards. They're actually looking at each other. So it could be something between a man and a woman. It could be like there may be some issue between, if we go with the idea here that they may be in a relationship, or they may be partners. If we go with the king and the queen being married, let's say, could be there's some difficulty in a relationship or a marriage between a man and a woman. And then if that's the case, then could be here with the man, there could be the involvement of a third party. The snake in that regard could be some sort of scandal. So if it's not maybe of a personal nature, it could be like maybe a partnership within a company. And then there's some sort of jealousy or envy or rivalry going back to the snake. Could even be with the man card here, and then the King of Clubs here starting off the week. If we take the Queen of Clubs out of it and not make it about a person, but maybe just a situation, then there could be some sort of rivalry on the job front or in the workplace between two men. So I'm seeing that. Could also be too like an unknown scandal is discovered or revealed by the end of the week. You know, maybe some sort of lie, some sort of con, cheat, lie is being discovered, and it could involve a man. So there's a lot of possibilities here. So I'm going to go with my first go-to is like there could be something having to do with somebody's job or employment. There could be a rival, somebody who's jealous, somebody who may be working behind the scenes. If we go here with the man, let's say that it involves a man, then this is behind him. So he may not see what's going on behind him. Like it's like actually like literally behind his back. Like this is taking place behind his back. And so he doesn't see it. But with him facing the book, he may gain some knowledge about that. He may learn about it by the week's end. So I'm seeing that as a possibility. It's like there is some sort of unknown complication, unknown possible deception, unknown scam that may be revealed, and it could involve a man. Either he's the victim or he is part of the the scam itself. So I'm seeing that as a possibility. So now what we can do is we can take a look at the playing cards. I already started, but we can go further with the playing cards and get some more information by looking at the dynamics. And now taking another look at the playing cards for the dynamics in this situation, we have the King of Clubs on the Clouds, we have the Queen of Clubs on the Snake, we have the Nine of Clubs on the Fox, we have the Ace of Hearts on the Gentleman or the Man, and we have the Ten of Diamonds on the Book. So now what I usually do is, keeping with the idea that the center card represents the central issue or the focus, I tend to look at the playing card inserts for the one side of the issue or the situation, and then the playing cards on the other side of the issue or the situation. So on the one side here we have the King and the Queen. So the King is valued at 13 for me in cartomancy, and then the Queen is 12. So 13 plus 12, because I add them together, is 25. And the 25th card in the deck is the Ring. So I'll set the Ring card right here. So the Ring is a card that can come up with meanings for it, I should say, for me, are commitment. It could also be an agreement. It could also be, going with the idea here that we have a King and a Queen from the same suit, it could be a marriage, because this card can represent a marriage. And with that, it could also be a contract. Marriage is a legal contract. It's a binding contract. So it could go with that idea. So it could either be that they're married, or that these people are in partnership, or they have some sort of agreement. If we go with the whole thing here about a job, possibly job or employment, then this could be some sort of maybe job agreement or job contract, like a contractor doing some work, that kind of thing. Could also be, like I said, if there's this a marriage, then this could also be too, like, then this could be like the idea of here being taken advantage of, being manipulated in a marriage, the possibility of cheating in a marriage. So there's that kind of energy. So this would be the one side with the Ring. It could also be about, if it's not actual a marriage or a contract, it could just be, you know, keeping a promise or a pledge or a vow or an oath, something of that. It could also be something that's recurring. If you go with the idea that the Ring is a circular symbol, it has no beginning and no end, then it just goes round and round. So it could be like whatever this situation is and whoever the people are that are involved in it, the players in the game, then it could be like something that's going around and around and around, or that it recurs every so often. Going with the idea here that it could be a contract or agreement, it could be a recurring contract, you know, something that's up for renewal. So I'm seeing those as possibilities. But my first go-to here with this, especially with the King and the Queen from the same suit, would be like this may be involving a marriage or people who are partners. And there may be a situation, there may be some sort of scandal, or there may be some sort of complication or a problem within that partnership or marriage. So I'm seeing that. On the one side. Here on the other side, we have the Ace of Hearts and the Ten of Diamonds. So if we add those, 1 and 10 is 11. So here on this side, we have the Whip. The Whip is the 11th card in the deck. And so now, this is painting a very interesting situation here, because Whip is a card that can represent repetitive activity. So here we have the idea here where I said on the one side with the Ring we have something that's recurring. This would validate that, because it could be something that's repetitive. Now the Whip is a card that can represent conflict and strife. So it could be a situation that's going to be creating some sort of conflict. With that, Whip can represent like heated words being exchanged. So this could be about arguments, it could be about debates. And as I'm saying the word debate, I'm reminded that in the middle of the week, we're going to be having the last presidential debate between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump here in the United States. So if you're watching this and you don't live in the States, we are having our third presidential debate, and that's this coming Wednesday. So it could be making a reference to that. It could be, and it's going to be very interesting in terms of the topics. It could be all sorts of things have been taking place on each side. You know, there's still that sense of scandal around Hillary Clinton, if we go with the idea that the Queen of Clubs, the snake card represents her. There's still a whole lot of scandal around her about her emails, and that seems to be a long, involved complication that just doesn't seem to evade her. It seems like she can't create distance between her and that situation. And then on the other side, we have Donald Trump, who has now been in the news for things that he's been saying about women. So, and, you know, so there's all sorts of things like that. So, and again, you know, could be like issues about one of the nominees or the other or both being caught up in some sort of scandal again, or some sort of lying or some sort of scam or something that may come out by the time the debate comes up. So I'm seeing that. Now, if we make this more personal and not political, then going with the idea that ring, again, could represent a marriage, a partnership, and again, the king and the queen here, then the whip is a card that can represent sexual activity. Sometimes this card can represent casual sex. So with that, I touched on the idea here that there may be cheating going on. So there could be another party involved in this marriage, a third wheel, so to speak, and that may be coming to light. So I'm seeing that as a possibility here too, because of the idea here with the whip being casual sex and sexual activity. Now, if we go with the idea here, and I'm turning this maybe a little more positively, if we go with the idea here that the fox can represent job and employment, then the whip can represent training. And with that, it could be like somebody who is either an athlete, so there could be something maybe even involving an athlete in the news. So it could be somebody who's an athlete, somebody who's a personal trainer, or somebody who's just getting on-the-job training or more training for whatever it is. And that would make sense on this side because remember we had the book here, and the book can represent a course of study, it could represent education, something of that nature. So it could be too like somebody's going to be getting some sort of educational training, but with the intention of using it on the job. So I'm seeing that as a possibility here with that. So a couple of things again with the whip. It could be about the debate. It could be about sexual activity. It could also be about training and discipline. So I'm seeing that as possibilities. Now the last thing we can do is we can add up all the values of the playing cards to kind of give us a sum total. So here we have 13 with the king, 12 with the queen, 9, 1 with the ace, and 10 with the 10 of diamonds. That gives us a total of 45. There are 36 cards in the deck, so whenever I get a number over 36, I add the digits together. So 4 plus 5 is 9. So the ninth card is the bouquet. So when the bouquet comes up, one of the things for me that in context of what we've been talking about as far as a meaning for the bouquet is surprise. So there could be a big surprise that comes up in the course of the week. So again, I'm going with the idea like something at the beginning of the week that was not known gets found out, it becomes learned, it becomes knowledge and maybe even public knowledge, but it comes at a surprise, as a surprise. So now, very interestingly enough with the bouquet, we have another face card. We also had it with the whip, but here we have another face card. So here we have a woman. So the thing with the bouquet and the Queen of Spades here is that this can represent a beautiful woman, an attractive woman. So it could be, again, there may be something pertaining to a beautiful woman or an attractive woman that may come as a surprise in the course of this week, whatever the scandal is. It could involve a man and an attractive woman. So it could be like, and then the snake here takes on the connotation of the other woman. Sometimes if we're talking about like extramarital affairs or people who are straying out of their relationship, then this card can represent the other woman. So there may be a situation which involves the discovery, surprise, of another woman. So I'm seeing that as the what could possibly take place. Whatever the event is, it's being described here in the cards. it may just boil down to being a surprise. So I'm seeing that. The other thing here could be going with the idea I thought I was done, but if we go with the idea of job and employment, then on a positive note, then the bouquet can represent like appreciation for one's talents. And remember, I said one of the meanings for fox was skill and one's craft, so it could be a sense of appreciation for that. So that's just a nice little positive note on that. But with all the challenging cards here, I think it's going to be more of a challenge for people this week than maybe the more positive. It could be also too now with the idea with the bouquet, it could be like when life throws you a surprise, it's like how can you look at it in a positive way, or how can you put a positive spin on it. So I'm seeing that as a possibility. So now what we can do is we can take a look at the numbers making up what will be the essence card for this week's reading. And we're back, and so now we're going to be taking a look at the numerical values on the cards and adding them up to come up with what I call the essence card. So going from left to right, we have 6 with the clouds, 7, 14, 28 with the gentleman, and 26 with the book. That gives us a total of 81. And so since it's a number over 36, I'm going to take the 8 and the 1, add them together, and the total is 9. And so interestingly enough, we have the essence card the same as the sum card or the sum total card from all the playing cards, which is the bouquet. And so the bouquet is already on the table. So again, as I mentioned in the previous segment, the bouquet can represent surprise for me. It can also represent a gift. It can represent an invitation. It could represent appreciation. It could represent talent. And so I'm going to go with, out of all of those as possibilities, keeping in mind with what I said in the previous segment, I'm still going to go with the idea that bouquet is going to represent some form of surprise, and it could represent something that centers around a woman, possibly in particular because of the Queen of Spades that is attached to the bouquet card. So I'm going to end that there because we have the sum total card from the playing cards and the essence card being the same, so it's reinforcing that message. So this has been this week's Oracle Outlook with the Lenormand. I am James Mitchell, and as I sign off, I want to thank you for sharing this space here with me and giving me your time with this week's video. And as I sign off, I want to wish you a wonderful day. I hope you have a wonderful week, and until we get together in the next video, take care.